Hello, good morning. So today what we are going to see is how we can configure an ecologic member and an ecologic group using a serial connection. What I have done is I have connected to a remote desktop for a server, and the server is actually connected using a serial cable to the ecologic device physically. What I am going to do now is I am going to use hyperterminal to configure the ecologic device. Okay, so I'm opening the hyperterminal. I'll just name it. Okay, and I just use the COM1 port, and here what I do essentially is I say restore defaults. I say OK. This will now try to connect to the ecologic device using telnet. Just wait for a while. Okay, since I had already connected, it has stored the password maybe, so we will start with reset. Is the command which you can use to clear up anything that was available on the device. So I have said reset. It says do you want to reset. I would say yes. So if you are doing it for the first time, before the connection is established, it asks you for a username and password. So grp admin is the username and grp admin again is the password. So this is the grp admin is the default username and password for any ecologic device. I'll just spell it grpadmin. This is the default username and password. So it is taking some time to clean up. You see here it has asked me for a login. Okay, so I give it as grp admin and the password again grp admin. Now You see that it says that it appears that the storage array has not been configured. Do you want to configure the array now? I'll say yes. This is some warning saying that the battery is not completely charged. This system was just powered on, so the batteries are not completely charged, so it will take some time, but we can still proceed. So we'll say yes.
Going ahead, sir.
Okay, it is now asking for a member name. So what member we are configuring is a 5000, so I'll just name it as PS 5000. It asks for the default Ethernet interface. So the default by itself, it takes it as ETH0, but if you want to configure maybe ETH1 or ETH2, you can do that. Okay, I'll just keep it as ETH0. So you can either type ETH0 or just press enter. And now it asks for the IP address for the network interface. So you need to make sure that you have acquired a few static IPs before you get started. So for one member configuration, you would typically require one IP address for the member and one IP address for the group. So you'll require at least two. I'm giving the IP address for this NIC interface as I've put it in the notepad. So this is the member IP that I want, 1094.174.9. So I'll put it the same, 1094.174.9. You need not worry about the messages that are coming. So it asks for the network net mask. Okay, just hit and enter. The default gateway, I'll just hit and enter. Now once the member has been configured, it would ask me for a group name. Okay, so if you want to add this member to an existing group, you can do that. So if you give a group name for an existing group, you'll try to scan the network to see if that group exists and then add this member to that group. But if you want this member to be added to a new group, you can give a new group name. So I'm going to give it EQL MP GRP1. So this does not exist. Okay. Since it does not exist, it will now ask me for a group IP address. If this group was already existing, it wouldn't have asked me for the group IP address. So I'm going to put the group IP address as 1094.174.3. These are the static IPs which I had acquired earlier. See if it is searching for the group. Okay, it says the group does not exist or currently cannot be reached. Make sure you have entered the correct group IP and the group name. Okay, so it also says that do you want to create a new group? I want to create, so I am going to say yes. Okay, so you can see that it has created a new group named EQL MP GRP1 and with the IP address as 1094.174.3. Do you want to save these group settings? You would say yes. Okay, when you're adding a member to a group, okay, it will ask you for a group membership password. Okay, you can set it to whatever you want, but the general practice is since you are using GRP admin everywhere else, it is much better to use the same password because there are chances that you might forget the passwords and may not be able to add members to the group. So I would recommend you use the same password. It says you need to use lower cases, which I have already done. It will now ask me for a default group administration account password. I'm also going to put the same GRP admin for this as well. It is now saving the configuration. That's it, we are done. So I have now configured a member and added that member to a group, and the group is also configured. So you can actually invoke the group manager UI now to see what is that you've got. So I can use my group IP, that is 10.94.174.3. Okay, let us just see if this IP is reachable. Okay, we'll just see what the problem is. Okay, I've just checked the lab, and it seems the network cable was loose. So now we can see the group IP. So I'm now connecting. Yeah, so it's trying to connect. So in the browsers, the first time load does take time, so you'll have to be patient here. So you can see it is showing EQL MP GRP1, the group name. You will get the username password screen, which takes time, so you'll have to wait. Yeah, so here is the username password screen. We have set the username and password as GRP admin. Say okay. Here you can see this is the EQL Group Manager GUI. You can see the group name EQL MP GRP1, the IP address. Since there are no volumes so far configured, it will show it as 0. It shows the total group capacity as 0 because you have not even configured the storage pools. You can see this PS5000, the member that is under this member is still not configured, so it is showing it as unconfigured. We'll see how we can configure it now. Also going to the members, going to the storage pool. Okay, there's a default storage pool created every time a member is configured. This is known as default. Okay, and the default member is added to it. Okay, but the storage pool so far has got just 0 capacity. You'll have to configure it. And I'll go to the members. It shows one member under it, that is PS5000. Now it says that the RAID for this member is not configured. Do you want to configure it now? Okay, you can do it now. You can say yes. Okay, you can have the storage pool as default. Okay, and you can select whatever rate policy you want. So I am currently selecting the defaults and I say finish. As simple as that. It will now say that your member is initializing. Okay, and once it is done with the rate configuration, it will say that this has been done. Okay, meanwhile we will see some other properties. So this member name, we had given it as PS 5000, which is reflecting here. The rate policy is just configured, it's shown here. PS 5000 by default it has got 16 disks, so it is showing all the 16 disks here. And you can see the other parameters as well. So controllers, it is showing 2 controllers. Okay, and the firmware version that is currently there on this EQL device is 5.2.1. okay, you can see all the disks shown here, 16 disks. Okay, and network, you will see that we had configured each 0 as the default one. Okay, with the IP as 174.9. okay, it is showing it as up. Okay, it is showing that the fan 0 and 1 for power supply cooling module 1 are in critical state, so we can see what is wrong with this later. Okay, it shows the front view. This is the front view. Okay, and if you click on rear view, it shows the rear view. So you can see that it has got 2 power supply modules, 2 controller modules. Okay, and it has also got 3 network interfaces. Okay, and 2 serial connections. This is actually a redundant one, so 1 serial connection. Okay, so it was as simple as this. Okay, so we now have a group with a member configured. If you want, you can have one more member configured and add it to the same group. We'll see that later. Thanks a lot.